Hey there, I'm Kristin with thewaywardhome.com, and I spend half the year in my sailboat in Mexico and half in my DIY sprinter van in the US, and I hope to inspire you to live nomadically too. So today we're talking about quitting everything and jumping into the nomad life. I'm really excited to talk about this because we all start there somewhere. And today we have Justin and Candace here on the show, and they did just that. They left everything to go travel in a travel trailer. So I'm really glad to be talking to you guys today. Thanks for joining the Wayward Home podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us, Kristin.
First of all, I want to know, I'm really excited. What kind of travel trailer did you start out in?
Well, we started 4 years ago in a teardrop, a 10-foot teardrop, wooden teardrop. Very, very, very basic. We weren't sure if we were going to like it, and we ended up really liking it. Mm-hmm. And then COVID hit, and we decided to upgrade to a 13-foot fiberglass U-Haul. And we continued to like it. And then
from there, we thought, hey, let's talk about maybe doing a cross-country trip in the U-Haul. It didn't have a bathroom, had a sink, small bed, and we're traveling with our dog, and this thing's 13 feet. And Candace is like, look, if we're going to do a cross-country trip and live the nomadic life, I need a bathroom. So
he actually thought we could do it. And I was on board until the last minute. I got really cold feet and I said, I can't live without a bathroom. I can't do it.
Yeah. So from there, we started looking for something a little bigger. And the guy that sold us the U-Haul, we stopped by his house on the way back from a trip, I think, to like pick up a hubcap or something. 'Cause he's been super cool about helping us with our units and travels. And he had a bubble. Was it a bubble?
A vintage 55 Airstream bubble that I fell in love with. And that was it. That was it for me.
So we went on a grand search for an Airstream or a bubble. And we finally found one on one of the Airstream resale sites. It was up in Oregon.
So we ended up with the Globetrotter, 20-foot Globetrotter with a bathroom.
Yeah.
And then off we went.
So you guys had that really wonderful Airstream, and you had to give up quite a bit in the Bay Area to launch this journey. Tell me about what that transition was like for you guys.
I had a business that I owned for 22 years, and I sold that. And I had a condo that I sold. And then Justin, he was in a rental.
My career, I was in media sales for 20 some odd years. And we just decided with COVID really impacted Candace's business, owning a hair salon. So she got shut down 3 times during COVID. And my job was suffering. Media sales was tough during that time. And we just got disenchanted and decided, hey, this might be a great time to make a life change. And we decided to quit our jobs. Candace sold her condo, she sold her business, and then we were homeless and ready to go.
Downsized. It took months and months to get rid of all of our stuff.
Yeah.
Between selling it and giving it away and
garage sales, and
that was quite a chore. After, we're 50, so we had a lot of stuff between the two of us.
But definitely a freeing
Very
experience.
Freeing.
Possessions tend to weigh you down. And it was nice once we got done with the process to feel like, wow, all we have left now is this 8x10 storage unit with some of the things that we'll probably take with us when we eventually move to Portugal, which is we could talk about later, but that's our ultimate goal. But that's all we have. And then the camper and the truck.
That's amazing. A lot of my readers write me, and that's one of their biggest concerns is, how do I downsize all this stuff? And they're so worried about it. But you guys, how did you tackle it? Do you have a tip or two for people on tackling that much stuff?
Yeah. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. So start at first. Yeah. So you start a little bit at a time. I did it in phases. I had a lot more possessions than Justin. And I just, like I said, I started in phases. So I had 75 pairs of jeans, and then I went to half, and then I went to half again, and then half again. So that's an easier way to tackle it. And then looking around at what do you really, really use daily and need?
Yeah, there's stuff that sits in storage units for years. You're like, I obviously don't need it if it's been there for 2 or 3 years, right? I also had a friend that gave us some advice where they did a program where you give on day one, you get rid of one thing, day two, 2 things. And then once you go through a whole year, you've gotten rid of like 10,000 things, something like that. So it's an easier step process. So if people, if your readers and listeners do have, that's a little bit of a struggle for them to get rid of things, that's a great way to go about it.
One thing at a time. And also for me, I like thinking about it that this could go to someone who uses it. I don't use it. I haven't used it. I would like someone to have it that will use it.
Yeah. And one of the other things that Kandace always brings up is, all right, you spent $50 on this item, but you're also spending $50 or $100 or whatever it is to store it in a unit, right? If you are storing your excess stuff somewhere, and it's like over 2 or 3 years, how much more are you paying for that thing that you're not using?
Yeah, you could
so
rebuy
that's another way to think about it.
You can just rebuy it after the year if you really need it, if you really want it.
Yeah, those are all like totally amazing tips. And I think they'll definitely help people because that is a big struggle. So I'm glad you shared that stuff.
The other thing too is we started a year in advance. I think that's important for people too. Don't leave it to the last month. Yeah. Start way in advance.
It'll be overwhelming otherwise.
Yeah.
And then you may never do it.
Totally. Yeah. That's what happens to people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Their stuff stops them from doing and living the life they really want to live.
So you guys did that, got rid of your stuff, downsized, got in the trailer and started your journey. So what was the biggest adjustment you had to make between the house and living in the trailer full time?
So we kind of did that in stages too, which was a nice transition. After Kandace sold her condo, we moved into a 450 square foot, like a in-law unit. And we lived there for 4 or 5 months before we left. So, we went from 1,100 square feet, 1,200 square feet to 450 to then whatever the camper is, I don't know, 100 square feet. So that adjustment was done in stages and helped us.
And then, when we're in the camper, most of our time truly is spent outdoors. We both love the outdoors. We do a lot of hiking. We do a lot of exploring. And really, we just sleep in the camper.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say? Unless the weather's bad, and again, when you're on wheels, you can just move to better weather. So most of our time is spent outdoors.
And one of the concerns was that we wouldn't have enough space when we were stuck in the camper on a snow day or something like that. But the Airstream has a couch that converts to a bed, and then has 2 other small couches, like twin beds. Sato, our dog, sleeps on one. When it's what size is a double? It's about a double bed.
A little smaller than a double.
And we found that if we slept head to toe, we got more space. So, we sleep head to toe, and it actually worked out great.
Oh, that's great. So it wasn't a huge adjustment going to the small space. That's wonderful. Yeah, we spend a lot of our time outside too. So, we're not just stuck in a van. Like 20 people think I'm in here for like 10 hours a day, which sometimes I am, but we like to be outside as well. So that's something people should keep in mind. So once you guys got started on your journey, tell me a little bit about your route. What did you want to go see in the States? And did you have your route planned beforehand?
So we did plan the route from April when we left to all the way through the end of September. And we wanted to see national parks, Moab, Zion, Bryce, Monument Valley. Those were big key.
Grand
Canyon. Those were big key places that I really wanted to see and had never been. And then we basically wanted to get through the middle of the country quickly and then go see New England, which we both
spent a lot of time in New England.
Absolutely loved the New England area. So on the planning process, I put together a Google sheet, and we would sit down and we would tackle it, a few stops a night. And we probably took 3 or 4 months putting it all together. So we'd sit down on the couch. I'd pull up the spreadsheet. Kandace would get on. She had a book of best places to camp. We would Google search camping or RV camping and then see what would come up. And we did dabble a little bit in using iOverlander and those types of apps to see what boondocking opportunities might be out there. But we pretty much stuck to RV camps and state parks.
Very little boondocking.
Yeah. And
now that we're a year in, we could boondock, but that intimidated us a little bit.
Yeah. So the planning process was, I had a tab for every single month, a line item for every place we would stay, what our budget was for our nightly stays.
Justin is very organized.
Very.
Me not so much.
Anal and analytical.
Little bit type
process.
A here.
Little type A. But it turns out
that
it helped us in the long run.
Yeah. So how many weeks or months would you plan out ahead of time?
Like 6 to start.
Yeah. The beginning was 6. And the big reason for that is we left it at the beginning of spring. And most RV parks and campsites will fill up in the summer months. So if you don't have, some of them you have to book 6 months in advance. And
the popular ones.
But yeah. I mean, and if you want to stay near attractions and have a decent place to stay, if you're not in early, then you have to go to your option 2, 3, or 4, which might not be great.
Right. That makes a lot of sense that you want to get into the good parks. That's what my mom does as well with her RV. She plans it all out. So that's a way to feel like you have, somewhere to go, that you're not stressed out at the last minute, because we experience that sometimes because we don't plan anything. And if we do need a campground and it's full, then that can be stressful. Yeah. So it's
a little bit more structure, which I like. Candace preferred, she really wanted to just go and wing it. That would freak me out a little bit.
We did on our way home, however.
Yeah, we did.
So this fall, we did wing it. So we would just book the next place right before we left the current spot. And that worked out because it was fall. We didn't have any problems. I think in the summer that would have been tough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That makes a ton of sense. Yeah, summer is the busiest time.
Yeah.
So you guys loved it. Would you say New England was your favorite part of the country you went through on this trip?
Mine.
Yeah, I like the Red Rock region. I could spend months, traveling through Moab and Bryce and Zion. But once we got to New England, I fell in love with that too. I love Maine, New Hampshire, Cape Cod, Nantucket, all those places. And the weather in the summer there, I'm thinking, we're up super high north. It's going to be cold and gloomy like the Mendocino coast or something. But the beaches were warm. The water is warm.
The ocean water's warm. It's lovely in the summer.
Warmer than Southern California water. So never been to the East Coast waters, and you put your feet in and you're like, wow, this is warm. This is amazing. And being body surfing in the ocean in Maine, it felt so weird, but awesome at the same time. Pretty cool.
That's cool.
Like that's charming towns. The little New England towns, are so cute. So we enjoyed that. We enjoyed that a lot.
It's really cool to hear. I've never been there before in a van just as a child. So that's fun to hear. And I think a lot of people don't venture out there because there probably is. I've heard there's a lack of boondocking spots, but it sounds like, did you find some nice campgrounds to go into on that side of the country?
Yeah, they do have state campgrounds. You're right about BLM land. They don't have as much BLM land as we do out west. They do have a lot of state campgrounds if you're on a budget. Oh, we lost you again, I think.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we just lost your video. So plenty of state campgrounds and plenty of RV parks.
Yeah, that's good to know. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the cost of doing campgrounds and RV parks full time. What was that like for you guys? Did you find any surprises? Was it what you expected?
Couple surprises. The campgrounds would range anywhere. The RV parks wouldn't be any less than about $50-$60 on the low end. Mm-hmm. And on the high end, I think the most we paid was about $150. So almost like going to a cheap motel,
They were more expensive than we thought.
Yeah.
And part of that is inflation. We hit it right at the perfect time or worst time with the current inflation. State parks are less, but there's less amenities.
So usually at a state park, you have to give up one thing. So you have electric, water, and sewer. So sometimes they just have water and electric, no sewer. Sometimes they have sewer and electric, no water. And then sometimes they have nothing. So you feel like you're boondocking. And then when we did have a couple of state parks that we stayed at where we had no hookups at all, and we got to test out what it would feel like and be like to boondock.
Very cool.
One of the biggest issues for us is we did travel with our dog in the summer, and temperature was an issue. So we put in an air conditioner, but we need to be hooked up to power to use it. And not everywhere will allow dogs. So we kind of had to plan that out. If we were going to a museum or somewhere like that that doesn't allow dogs, we had to have air conditioning for him or dog daycare. So that in the summer was a little struggle, a little stressful.
And dog daycare can add up,
mm-hmm.
That cost. And that wasn't really something that we budgeted for, maybe once a month. But it wasn't a line item that we're like, okay, we're going to spend X amount on dog daycare.
Right. That's true. So could you leave your RV like plugged in with the AC on when you went to do these things if you had a full hookup?
Yeah. But if we didn't have that and we wanted to go somewhere, we couldn't leave them. And if it was a hot day, we had to find dog daycare in those situations.
And that ranges why what's the word I'm looking for? That there's a wide range.
Yeah.
We paid as little as $12 a day and as much as $100. So depending on the area, big differences in price for that.
Wow. That's an interesting, unexpected expense that you learned about on the road, huh?
Yeah. I thought that, he would be allowed on most beaches. Not the case. Especially in the summer. So in New England, there are very, very few beaches that you can bring them in the high season. So, in the spring and the fall and the winter, it's fine. But in the summer, no dogs.
That's very interesting. I would not have guessed that. So that's a good tip for people to know who are traveling with a dog. So
yes, because we didn't know that either.
Yeah, for sure. So, and you guys said that you were traveling with an external gray water tank. What is that? I've never heard of that. Tell me a little bit about what that was like to travel with.
So when we bought the Airstream, it had a black tank, but the tank was cracked, and we had a mechanic do some upgrades for us, and he let us know, hey, your black tank, you could put another one in. It's going to cost X, or we can take it out. And we did put in a compostable toilet, and then we bought a 36-gallon external gray tank. And the reason why we went with 36 is our freshwater tank is 30 gallons. And we figured, okay, we'll have a little bit of a buffer if we use all 30 gallons and we're off grid. And there were a few places we stayed. There were some RV parks we stayed that didn't have sewer. So we had to use the external gray tank, and then they would pump it out like every couple of days. And then in cases where we're at a state park, it would fill up in about 2.5, 3 days. So we're not taking showers. We would use the shower facilities at the parks or state parks. And we're really just doing dishes and hand washing stuff inside. And then that just goes straight out into the gray tank. And then some parks would have dump areas, so it'd be easy to just tow it there. That's one of the reasons why boondocking and BLM land is tough, because there's nowhere to dump 30 gallons of water.
And our Airstream, like we said, is vintage. In 1965, they did not use gray tanks. It just went right into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So now is illegal in most states.
Yeah. So does it just sit on your hitch, or where do you put that?
There's the same kind of hose that you would hook up to your sewer line at an RV park or state camp. Goes into the gray tank.
It has wheels.
So there's a hookup for that. It's the same hookup that you would use to latch it on to the camper. Same one latches on to the gray tank. And it's just, that's how it works.
Yeah, you unscrew it, put the cap on, and then you tow it. You can tow it on the back of your car to the dump site. Yeah.
So it'll just sit on the side of the camper that has the outlet for the sewer outlet. And then when we're not using it, we just store it on that side at a campground. And then we'll put it, after it's dumped and cleaned and everything, we'll store it in the camper when we're traveling.
Oh, very interesting. So a lot of maneuvering that tank. I can see how that would be quite challenging.
That is one of the biggest challenges.
And we thought about selling it on our travels and getting a smaller one, but it just never came to fruition. Didn't happen. We did notice some other RVers that had the similar tank to us, or same size, and they would typically put it on the ladder on the back of the RV and just strap it to that while they're traveling. But when you only have, we don't have a ladder, there's nowhere to put it outside. And when you have small space, you have to make particular adjustments. And ours is just putting it in the camper when we move from place to place.
Right. That is really interesting. So what do you think you're going to do the next season of traveling in the trailer if you want to try? Is it possible to ever try boondocking with that? Or does that just become really difficult because you can only last like probably 2 days, like you said, and then you have to go tow it and dump it?
I guess we could take a page out of your book or out of our previous book when we lived when we camped in our teardrop and the U-Haul trailer, is just minimize our water usage, so could
more
do
dry camping,
dry camping, not,
simple meals.
Yeah. Using paper plates, things like that, biodegradable soaps. So we could do it. It's just, do we want to do it?
Totally. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and we like the AC, which
totally
wouldn't work off grid.
It won't work off grid. Yeah,
it will work for about an hour before the batteries drain. And we do have solar. We put in 300 watts of solar on top of the Airstream, so we have enough electricity, but not to run a fan, but not to run the AC for more than about an hour before it drains the batteries.
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah, we don't have an air conditioner in the van, and that's, because it would drain the battery really fast. But yeah, there's definitely things you have to give up in order to boondock. And I think that's why a lot of people don't do it, because it is more like, I think of it as backpacking because we're backpackers and we've done a lot of backpacking. I'm like, I'm backpacking right now, but I have this van to sleep in. So that's kind of how I think about it, where it's kind of rugged and it's definitely something people should think about before doing it, because it is, you have to give up certain amenities to boondock for sure.
Especially if we're traveling with a pet, right? Like we can handle the excess heat better than the dog can. So that really plays into where we end up staying and for how long, and being able to move as often as we wanted. Being in a van, much easier. Being in a travel trailer, not as easy.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So yeah, I'm curious about the shift between working all the time and managing your households to living on the road. What was that like for you guys, like mentally and emotionally, and how was that change?
For me, it was absolutely amazing. I was a hairstylist for 30 years and I worked by appointment, and I booked 8 to 10 weeks in advance. So I could tell you what I was doing, 2 months from any given day. And to be able to wake up and look at him and say, well, what do you want to do today? It was dreamy for me. Really, in the beginning, especially, it was dreamy. It's like I had to pinch myself. Is this really my life?
Mm-hmm. And same for me. It just felt like a nice break, like where I could take a big sigh of relief. Like, I don't have to go into work today. And I did keep myself busy blogging, and we do social media posts and stuff like that. So that's how I got my fix of, I need something to do. Like, how do I, a little
bit of structure.
Yeah. A little bit of structure. Yeah. Just like putting together the spreadsheet. Like, I had to have something to do. But it was nice. And it is nice to take that's what we call it, a sabbatical, taking a year off of work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really nice to just feel yourself relaxing and unwinding and spending a lot of time in nature. I think is all very positive.
It's very, very peaceful, and it's very freeing to give up your responsibilities for a little while. And owning a business, I had a lot of responsibilities, and to just worry about basically what you're going to do that day, and think about Justin and our dog, and that's all I really had to worry about. It was great.
And talk about stress relief. What a fantastic just washing of the stress off of your back and body, and you just feel healthier.
It's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting rid of stress.
A little euphoric, actually.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And so, Yeah.
Right. And that's what people are jealous of when they look at those of us that have done it. And there's a lot of lead up to be able to do it, which we already discussed. But once you get there, it feels so great. Even if it's just for a year or 6 months or 3 months, I think it's a great, especially at our age, when we have had pretty stressful careers and lives, to let it go and just kind of take a pause, take a breather for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A nice gift to give to yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's a good reminder that people don't have to like suddenly say they're going full time, like forever, for years. Like, as you said, you can just take a short break or sabbatical. So I think that's really cool for people to think about as well. So you had savings for this first trip, and what's next for you guys? What are you going to do in the future to continue this lifestyle, or what are your plans like?
Well, we actually thought we would be finished. We had planned on 8 months, and then we would be done. We've decided that we like it and we want to continue to travel and the lifestyle. So we are talking with some camps about doing work camping, and you work a certain amount of hours and then you get your spot in the RV park with all the amenities. And then anything after those hours, they'll pay you, typically a minimum wage, whatever state you are. But that will help offset pulling all the money out of our savings so that we can continue and do this a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of the places we're talking to, they usually ask you to work each person in the couple, 25, 30 hours a week, and just doing odd jobs around camp, keeping the campsites clean, or working the front desk, things like that. So
camp stores.
Yeah. So that's what we have. So we'll get back in the camper and the truck in early April and make our way back across the country. So do some similar to what we had just done, have it all mapped out, hit different places this time. So we'll probably go south on a southern route east. Last time we did a northern route east, and then end up in Maine and spend May to October working at a campground.
Cool. And yeah, that definitely does help with costs when you think about the price of a campground every night. I wonder how much you'll save on camping in that 5-month period, because you do get the free campsite, right?
Well, yeah. Well,
you work it off.
You work it off. So 25 out after the first 25. No.
Yeah, 25.
Yeah, after the first 25 hours, then so that's how you pay for the site. And then everything after that is the minimum wage. So it's a nominal. It's like, I think it comes out to like $300 or something like that is what our cost would be for the month.
That's not bad.
And we were paying average cost per night was about $75 on this 8-month journey that we went on.
So about
$2,000 a month. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this way, we'll save $2,000 a month.
Yeah. We're saving about, $1,700 a month. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That is a great way to extend the journey and not be out that much money again to do it for another 5 months, but it keeps you out there. Right. And on your time off, do you just go hike and explore and do stuff in that area?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So there were parts of Maine that we didn't really get to see. We didn't go to Acadia National Park. We want to see that. We didn't get up to Bar Harbor. We'd love to go see that. And we'd love to eat some more lobster rolls, of course.
That all sounds so fun.
So one of the benefits of traveling first is we got to decide where we would want to spend more time. And we had a couple states that we were going to target, and Maine being the first one. So if we didn't get any interest there, we had a couple other states we were going to look into. And, we know we like it. So spending 5 months there is going to be a treat for us. And they've told us that they will work us on the same schedule so that we have the same days off to go explore. So it should be perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. What a neat solution. And that's 5 months. And then do you have any idea what you'll do after that?
Well, I mean, so we talked to a lot of people at the campgrounds as we started doing the research and asking them how they liked it, how they got into it. And there was this one gal that we met at a KOA, and she said she's working in Maine in the summer, and then in the winter she goes down to Florida. So we might take a page out of her book and go down to Florida and find a place to work for a few months. And then who knows after that, we might fall in love with it more and just continue going on and living that nomadic lifestyle. So that's still unwritten. We don't really know what's going to happen after that.
And that's the beauty with this lifestyle. You know, when you don't have a ton of responsibilities and you've simplified your life, you can kind of do what you want. You know, you have the freedom to live anywhere, you know, take any type of job.
Yep.
We paid off all of our debt, so we don't have any debt. It's just our daily expenses at this point. So it's just the freedom in it is fantastic.
Cool. That's super exciting. I can't wait to hear about work camping. I'll have to have you guys on again to talk about Maine next fall and what that was like for you. Anything else you guys wanted to say to people considering this or about your experiences that we missed?
Do it. Just do it. You only live once. Do it.
So that's the wing it mentality. And I'd say put some planning into it, do the research, listen to podcasts, but it is a freeing experience. And if you have the savings, and even if you don't, there are people like you who work. There's the working nomadic lifestyle. And I'm sure if you haven't, you probably will have a podcast on that subject. I'm going to be looking for a part-time job or, you know, get into some sort of sales remote job that I can do on the road to help just not take so much out of savings, you know, and also give me something to do, fill that free time.
I think so many people say, I can't do that. I can't do that. You actually can, right? If you put your mind to it and you pay off your debt and you put some savings away and then you boondock or you stay in state parks. You know, there are ways to do it. You just have to drastically change your life and your spending habits.
And you have to want to do it, I guess.
Yeah. You have to have that desire to change your life.
Ultimately, you do get this freedom and then you can go anywhere. We talked about maybe going to Mexico and doing some camping there and experiencing what that's like. And there's been plenty of others who have done it before and there is information about it online. So it's not as scary as it may seem. Or just visiting any other parts of the country that we missed on this last 8-month journey.
But we even met people from Europe that shipped their rig here. And we met someone the other day that shipped an Airstream to Europe. And then, you know, you can explore other continents too. If you're willing to ship your rig over.
Yep. That's something I've considered as well. Maybe someday South America or Europe in the van. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to tow or drive your own home around. It's such a comforting experience to go into your own home for the night, I think.
It is true. And people think, oh, come stay with us and stay inside, stay in a house. But to be honest, we had such a comfortable setup that I kind of would prefer to stay in the camper than a hotel or, someone's home, because we had everything we needed. Yep. It was very comfortable.
I feel the same way. People always tell me to sleep in their house, and I'm like, well, my bed is so comfortable. It's the best bed I've ever slept in. And they just can't believe it, but it really is. And it's mine and I'm used to it. And so I sleep.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is comfortable.
Yeah. And it's part of your routine that you just, you get used to. And I think one other parting thing, if we're rounding out here, is that there are things you need to expect the unexpected. We did have our engine blow out on this trip, and we were stuck. We were stuck for 2 weeks in Florida. Mm-hmm. This is another, back to the, planning versus non-planning. We only had a couple places planned at that point that we had to cancel. And we did have to deal with cancellation fees, which they weren't huge. Like usually it's like a day's worth of camping. So like $75 or $50 that we had to eat, but it sidelined us for a couple of weeks while we had to wait for a new engine to arrive and get the truck back on the road and then us back on the road.
So we ended up in the Caribbean for 2 weeks.
That's not too bad of a compromise.
Wonderful time. So, it worked out. It all worked out, and it usually does.
That's very true. We have to roll with the punches in the nomadic lifestyle because you never know what's going to happen. It's just your attitude is the most important part, I think.
Very, very true.
Yeah. That's another thing that I've learned too, is getting rid of that stress, is that you just tell yourself, I don't have anything else. I don't have anything to do. I don't have anywhere to be. Just roll with the punches. It'll work itself out. And I used to be super stressed out and uptight and, oh my God, how's this changing my life? Mm-hmm. When I was stuck in the rat race. But afterwards, it's like just water off a duck's back.
He's mellowed out quite a bit.
Super mellow.
And just having the faith that things will work out, you know, they will. Mm-hmm. They will. They do. They work out. It will work out.
And if you stress in the moment, like if we had gotten really worked up over the truck breaking down, you know what we did? We were getting on the freeway. We pulled over. We got our camp chairs out. We sat on the side of the road and we waited about an hour for the tow truck to come. And just chilled on the side with our camp chairs.
Yeah. Like we don't have anywhere else
you could do.
And we just laughed it off.
It's all attitude. It's all attitude and how you look at things.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us. We loved hearing about your journey today, and it'll help and inspire a lot of people. So, yeah, congratulations.
Hope to talk to you again.
Totally. All right. Have a good day, you guys.